Skywatch Media News for February the 7th, 2021. Over the past 20-plus years, a series of briefings by governmental agencies, including reports from scientific journals and even popular fiction magazines, have predicted that this world would encounter a barrage of natural calamities that would ultimately challenge the health, safety, and the well-being of all humanity. If we look back to the previous years, we can get a much clearer picture of the specific warnings to which they refer. The spread of a novel virus in 2020 and its economic impacts had been forecast for decades before coming to fruition. But with all of the strange and often disturbing things that are happening in the world today, we have to wonder what other catastrophes are coming that we haven't planned for. Events that have the capability of disrupting the broader society in the next few years, or even decades from now. Although Earth is known to be the only hospitable planet in our solar system, it still remains a very dangerous place to dwell. In its long and eventful history, Earth has experienced at least 5 extinction-level events, the last one occurring about 66 million years ago, when an asteroid more than 6 miles in diameter struck Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula, wiping out 3/4 of all animal and plant life on the planet. But the threats that we face on this planet do not have to be external. They often come from powerful internal sources that have long existed on this planet. Take, for instance, the year 1815, when Mount Tambora erupted with great magnitude, becoming the most powerful eruption in recorded history, the energy equivalent of 171,000 atomic bombs. The ash and gases spewed by its eruption chilled the planet by as much as 3 degrees Celsius. Some scientists have indicated that an even greater supervolcano blast could easily trigger a nuclear winter lasting for years, which would culminate into severe food shortages across the globe. This is only one of many catastrophes that could strike the planet, even though the probability of this happening may be far into the future. There are, however, 5 global cataclysms that could happen at any moment according to scientists, and the likelihood that they could affect the entire world is nearly a certainty. Number 1 on the list is Mount Toba, located on the Indonesian island of Sumatra. The Toba caldera encompasses the world's largest volcanic lake. Unlike the Yellowstone volcano, Lake Toba hasn't received nearly as much attention in recent years. The last great eruption of Toba occurred nearly 74,000 years ago, so another eruption is well overdue. The main reason why this threat is so significant is that Toba is located on a densely populated island of nearly 50 million people. It's situated just 25 miles from the Indian Ocean, where a catastrophic tsunami similar to the one that took place in 2004 is certainly a real possibility. In fact, this region of the world is no stranger to catastrophic tsunamis. There has been 2 recorded events where waves reached nearly 100 feet and another that reached 40 feet, all occurring within the last 250 years. Another catastrophe in waiting that hasn't garnered a great deal of notoriety, but it still poses a significant danger, involves the potential collapse of the Kilauea volcano. The volcano is Hawaii's most active, and it took the world by surprise in the summer of 2018 when it consumed roughly 14 square miles of land with a thick covering of lava. The collapse, referred to as the Helena slump, has the potential to release some 12,000 cubic kilometers of rock into the Pacific Ocean. A slump composed of such great quantities of landmass would trigger a devastating mega tsunami. Now, if you're wondering if such a scenario is likely, we only have to go back to the year 1975, where the movement of the Helena slump generated a scaled-down but still destructive tsunami. Waves as high as 48 feet were recorded locally on the Big Island, with smaller waves reaching all the way to the California coast. Since the slump is continuously in motion, it would only take a good earthquake jolt in the tectonically active region to set off a catastrophic chain of events. Because of the high risk it poses, the Helena slump at Mount Kilauea is placed near the top of the global catastrophe list. In addition to the Helena slump, there is another region on our world map that poses a great risk for a mega tsunami. The North Sea region is vulnerable to submarine landslides, and the risk is quite significant considering the climate fluctuations they are experiencing in the 21st century. Submarine deposits dating back 6,000 years suggest that a sharp sea level rise attributed to the melting of glacial ice, which in turn added weight to the submarine deposits at the edge of the Norwegian continental shelf. The destabilization created a 180-mile submarine landslide known as the Starega Slide. The landslide in turn created a tsunami of 20 meters along the Shetland Islands, 10 meters on the Norwegian coast, and 6 meters along the western and northern coast of Scotland. So as we look at the greater picture of the dangers described thus far, we get a better understanding of the interconnected relationship that exists between these various types of potential catastrophes. The idea that one catastrophe can lead to another in a chain of disastrous events. This brings us to the so-called big one, the major earthquake that the media is always talking about, the one that could strike the west coast of the United States. This big seismic event could hit along the subduction zone that runs all the way from Northern California to Vancouver Island in Canada. The Cascadia subduction zone is unstable as the Pacific Ocean floor is being slowly pushed underneath the North American plate. Although the rate of movement on the ocean floor is only 1.5 inches a year, the upper part of the system is not moving at all, which means that the North American plate is being compressed. Seismologists have warned that at some point in time, which may be soon, the pressure that has been building up for the past 320 years will be released in the form of a mega earthquake that could well reach magnitude 9. When we put this likely scenario into perspective, consider this. Back in 1985, an earthquake that registered magnitude 8 devastated Mexico City. Now, a lot of folks have forgotten about that earthquake some 35 years ago. But the jolt of energy was so powerful that it brought down hundreds of buildings and took the lives of more than 5,000 people. This is one of the main reasons why the United States and other nations around the world are routinely involved in earthquake preparedness programs. Being prepared provides the criteria whereby safety measures can be implemented for every risk factor that arises, which in turn helps to alleviate the safety concerns. In addition to the internal threats that I had mentioned, there are also external threats from space, such as asteroid and meteor encounters. They are definite threats, but their likelihood of creating havoc on Earth are not as great as that of our Sun, with its potential to produce damaging solar flares, which brings us to the 5th global catastrophe on the list. The tremendous expulsion of plasma from the Sun has hit our planet in the past, and it will do so again with such intensity as to cause a global blackout. Many of you are probably aware of the Carrington event, which took place in 1859. But did you know that nearly a century ago, an almost as powerful solar storm knocked out the U.S. telegraph service, On the 13th of May in the year 1921, a severe space weather event produced some spectacular technological impacts, in some cases causing destructive fires. It was characterized by extreme solar and geomagnetic variations and with spectacular auroras, recorded at many locations around the world. Although this solar flare was not as dramatic as the one that happened in 1859, a solar superstorm, if it happened in today's technological society, would knock out satellites and disable communications and GPS systems. Chaos would certainly ensue in such a scenario. Last year, the USGS released a new geoelectrical hazard map covering 2/3 of the U.S. The map shows the voltages that could surge upon the U.S. power grid in the event of a magnetic superstorm, something that would be expected to occur once in a century if the historical data is used as a blueprint for future encounters. Each of the global catastrophes in this list could happen at any time, and quite often they will happen with little, if any, forewarning. Despite all of the technological instruments at our disposal which help in determining the timing of the next great catastrophe, we will not be able to stop them from happening. Our best defense resides in determining our approach in handling each situation before it happens, rather than determining what to do after the fact. Stay safe, everyone. Thanks for watching, and always keep looking to the sky.